This conference will now be recorded.
So good evening. Welcome to AnCan's virtual support group for low and intermediate risk prostate cancer for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Welcome to everyone. I am your moderator for this evening, Stuart Jordan, and I'll be assisted by Bill Franklin, Boykin Jordan, and I don't know, Rick may stop by as well. We would like to note that this is a peer-to-peer support group and should not be construed as medical advice. We're here to share our collective experience and answer questions, and we hope to provide you with information that we encourage you to speak with your doctors about. Before we begin, we'd like to thank our sponsors for all of our prostate cancer support groups, which are Novartis, Telix, Blue Earth Diagnostics, and Foundation Medicine. We also thank our participant base and encourage you to visit our website, ancan.org. And if you would like to make a contribution, there is a link there. At AnCan, we actually have multiple prostate cancer support groups, each one covering specific areas. We have one that focuses on active surveillance for those considering or have not opted to postpone or avoid treatment. Our group today talks about low and intermediate risk for those planning or have had treatment, but we do not address recurrence in our group this evening, and instead invite people experiencing or wanting to talk or get information about recurrence to join the high risk recurrent and advanced prostate group. We also have special groups for veterans, men under 60, gay and bi men, and just our most recent addition, which is European group, which has been started up and is going monthly. So welcome to everybody, and let's go ahead and get started. And Ron, we'd like to welcome you to the group. And the way we work is we've got a short list of questions that we'd like to go get some info from you, and then based on that, we'll address any questions you have and help see if we can guide you in terms of where you are on your journey. So as you told us, you're in Sharpsville, Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. Ron, how old are you?
I'm 63.
63. And we know where you live. Are you a veteran?
No.
Okay. And how did you hear about AnCan?
Actually, I saw one of your recorded sessions on YouTube. I've been searching and watching a lot of information from YouTube and, Google, etc.
Great.
Thought I would follow up.
Okay. Have you had a chance to sign up for our email reminders?
I think I did.
Okay.
I know it's showing up on my
I'll check, Stuart.
calendar.
Okay. So let's talk about your prostate cancer. When were you first diagnosed, and how did that come about?
That was February 2nd of this year, and actually, I was seeing a local urologist here, pretty much a small rural post-industrial town that we live in, and I was seeing him for BPH. And they put me on Tamsulotion, and they were just following along, and my symptoms were getting worse. And so at the time, we were actually exploring doing an aquablation or something like that. That's sort of in my research. It seemed like something that would work well for me. But then my PSA clicked up.
What's your
it went went beyond 4, and then I had a follow up about a month later, and it went up to 5.42, and so he told me I was no longer eligible for that kind of BPH, and that we needed to rule out malignancy and cancer.
Okay.
So we went from there to getting an MRI. I had an MRI done down in Pittsburgh at the Hillman Center, which is one of those certified high-level cancer centers. So I had a MRI there, and it did show that I had a lesion.
Okay. Do you know what your PIRAD score was?
It was a PIRAD 4, and it indicated that it was in it was in the let me think, not the biopsy. It said it was peripheral zone right posterior, PIRAD 4, and it fluoresced with the when they put the injection of the gadolinium, whatever the
Right.
Yeah. So just the one lesion.
Just one lesion, yeah.
Okay.
And so after that, my urologist said, "Well, now we have to do a biopsy." So let's see, January was the MRI, and so then I had the biopsy done. Fortunately, well, let me think. When was it? It was done. It's so much like dates and stuff.
Late January, early February.
It's kind of daunting, really. So I had that done in like a month later.
Okay.
Yeah, and they found, and then they didn't find, it was a targeted biopsy, transperineal. And then they didn't find anything at where the MRI said there was something, but somewhere else in the anterior zone, the biopsy did find a lesion, and it was a 3+3, grade group 1, and so here I am.
So they found just the one,
Yeah.
and it's a 3+3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would like to be in the active surveillance group on Wednesday evening, but that's impossible. I already have a meeting that's been set up for a long time there, so I can't attend that. So I thought.
Oh no, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome here. That's you pretty much. Let me know if I'm stepping on your toes, Stuart. You look like a good candidate for active surveillance right now. I was going to say that I thought someone was going to jump in. Yeah, I was going to say that in the past, 3+3, like when I was diagnosed a long time ago, the first thing they do is tell you about surgery, right? But now the very common thinking is 3+3 is you want to look at active surveillance first, rather than start looking at radiation or surgery or something along those lines. So when you say it was a targeted biopsy, how many cores did they take?
He took 12 cores.
Okay. And he did specifically target the area where the lesion showed up on the MRI?
Yes, that's what he said. And in the follow-up, I asked him specifically, I said, do you think that you got it? Because it was a little dude. It was, according to the MRI, it said it was only like 0.15 cc's altogether. Like a 0.6 by 0.5 by 0.6 sounds really small to me.
Yeah, that does sound like a very small volume.
Yeah, but he said they got it. So it's confusing to me because the MRI says one thing, and then the biopsy in a completely different place said, oh no, there's nothing there, but look what we found someplace else. And I thought, well, what?
Well,
I mean, that can happen. The fact that they took, so they did target the area that showed up on MRI, and they didn't find anything. But if you have your biopsy report, it'll tell you where each core was taken from. Which I'm going to assume that if it was 12 cores, it was kind of a grid, and they did focus on the one area where they found a lesion. But they probably took samples from multiple areas of the prostate.
That is right.
3+3 and I didn't actually hear what you read off as far as the size. They'll usually give you a millimeter size, a percentage of the core that was taken that was determined to be cancer.
Yeah, it was only it says less than 5% of core volume. That was from the biopsy, of course. But it did say it was positive for some kind of what the heck? It said positive for P504 in the focus of the carcinoma. So I guess that must be some kind of a dye test or something that they do.
Say that again, because that
said-
sounds.
Yeah, it said positive for P504 in the focus of the carcinoma. So I'm guessing that was from the biopsy. So I'm guessing that they must have this P504 must be something that they.
I'm going to say I'm not familiar with that.
Hey, David, could you take a quick search and see if you can come up with anything for P504? Because that's not anything I remember hearing either. Take a quick gander at it.
It looks like it's immunohistochemical stain of some kind. So
Okay.
I guess, I don't know. Must be
Okay.
that they do on the slide.
So I did a quick search too. I'm not a doctor, Ron.
Neither am I. My dad was a doctor, but it doesn't count.
I'm a security guard, basically. So, a little more involved, but that's really what I do. To me, and David, if you wanted to look something up too, you seem to have a better grasp on some of this than I do. It looks like that just means that the dye lit up that area. That's all it means. Yeah. It doesn't mean that it was something serious. Someone double check me on that, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Hey, Ron, didn't ask, do you have any family history of prostate cancer? Your dad, your brothers?
Actually, no, not. I have one brother younger than me. He has nothing. But my grandfather did die from prostate cancer.
Okay, paternal grandfather?
On my mother's side, yeah. My father had a pretty severe BPH, and he had, I think, 2 TERPs as he grew older. He's passed away since, though. That was it.
Have you had any genetic testing
that runs in the family, though?
Have you had any genetic testing, germline testing for cancer markers?
Nobody has suggested that to me. No, so I haven't.
With the information you've given us, I mean, so PSA is not a definitive marker for prostate cancer, right? So it's a tool in the toolbox that people say, hey, the PSA is off. Let's start checking some things. A 5.4 is not high for someone with BPH, not someone who's 63. It's fairly high, but not for someone that has long-term BPH. I work with an individual that had BPH for like, oh my God, I think we discussed it for over 20 years, and his PSA was always 7, 8, and then it would drop down to 6, and it would drop down to 4, and then it would be 9, and then it would drop down to 3. So with BPH, that wasn't really that high, but to do the biopsy, if they found a lesion on the MRI, was probably a good course of action. The fact that you've got a 3+3 grade group 1, it was a really small positive core. That's good. You should look into joining our active surveillance group and talking to those guys. I don't, again, not a doctor, but knowing what I know now after doing this for 11 years and going through my own cancer journey, if I knew what I knew now, and I got your diagnosis, I would not be worried. So, anybody?
David?
I know you're running the meeting, but I seem to be taking over for some reason. It's because I'm tired. So.
David, what you?
Bill is right. It's a stain simply used to identify the presence of cancer. It has no relationship and says nothing about the aggressiveness of the cancer or the Gleason score or anything like that.
Great. Thank you, David. So Ron, do you have any questions?
Well, I just I found the whole situation, the whole kind of sequence bizarre, really. It seems kind of random and odd. I mean, I was going in one direction, and then my PSA peaked above that magical number 4 number. Suddenly, my urologist shifted gears into a whole different direction, which was kind of surprising to me, since I do have a large prostate.
How large?
I think it was like 58 cc, 58, something like that.
Okay, that's biggish.
Big-ish. It's not giant, right? I have a friend that has 100.
Yeah,
But
that's big.
I was going one direction to get my to get an. I wanted to go beyond just tamsulosin, right? Because of all the side effects. I was like, this. I'd like to get beyond that, and there are some new MIST procedures. And then all of a sudden, this cancer thing pops up, and then I feel like I got slammed into a different category. And my initial urologist is basically like, well, now we're just gonna watch and see what happens, and I'll see you in 6 months. And I was like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the first thing that we were doing? Like they just threw the baby with the bathwater out the window.
It sounds like urologist was sort of following standard protocol. There's this general thing. If your PSA is over 4, you're supposed to check on something. So he was just like sort of checking off the boxes. He did do the right stuff in that, he did get you for an MRI, and then he did a transperineal MRI guided biopsy. You've gotten the appropriate diagnostic care. So and you've got a very, very little bit of cancer. You should definitely get with the active surveillance group, because really what you want to focus on now is understanding how you go about monitoring it, make sure that doesn't turn it into anything more. But given the small amount of, you only got one 3+3 lesion, you're probably in a case where you're never going to have anything significant come of that, and you'll be able to go on about your business, in which case you may want to try and pursue another doctor if your BPH situation is something in that he doesn't want to address.
Yeah, and this is you'll hear the story in the active surveillance group if you go to enough meetings, because the gentleman will show up. But similar, very low grade cancer found, 3+3. But this was a long time ago, so the thinking back then was, you've got cancer. We probably want to take your prostate out, and he said no. And it's going on 20 years now, and he's been on active surveillance the whole time. So. And I will tell you that the key thing to think about with active surveillance, as Stuart said, of course, you're going to learn how to monitor your disease. But the key thing to remember is that when they try to get you to go down these paths of, a surgery or radiation, even the ones that they tell you are, this is great. Someone will tell you they never had any side effects. Every treatment for prostate cancer is going to change your quality of life to some degree or other. And I'm not saying that to stress you out, because I think you're in a really good place with it. You've probably got a long time ahead of you before you would even have to address this, like Stuart said. The odds are, with your diagnosis, the odds are that you'll die of something else before you die of prostate cancer. So.
I'm curious, in your observation, I mean, once you have, even though this sounds like it's a fairly non-active cancer type, once that has happened, is it inevitable that as they continue to follow, that other things are going to pop up? Now that one did,
other prostate cancer.
Yeah, a different lesion, a higher level. Like, is that usually what eventually?
No, it's not. It's not inevitable at all.
Okay.
You could go the rest of your life and never progress past where you are now, or you could go 10 years and progress past where you are now. That's the whole thing about active surveillance. According to the doctors, that you have cancer. You had cancer in your prostate. Just stay on top of it. That's the whole key.
Sounds good.
Someone's got their hands up. Let me see here. David, or did we just not lower your hand before, or you got another comment?
I got another comment. Ron, did you say something about side effects related to tamsulosin, that they were bothersome in some way?
Well, I was, yeah. I mean, that was 'cause I've been taking it for coming on before. I was trying to see. I'm having a difficulty figuring out when I first was put on. I was put on that by my general practitioner. My
Roughly
reg-
how long have you been on it? I
It's
don't need an exact
been
date.
more than 4 years. It's more than
Oh,
4 years.
4 years. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a long time, and I was looking. I've been studying some to see what's the newest things that were coming up. I mean,
Well, I just want
and
to talk a minute about tamsulosin. What
yeah,
is your side effect lightheadedness? Is it limited to that?
it's sometimes I do get unexpected dizzy spells. That was never because I'm a fairly athletic guy. That never happened to me before. But the other thing is, sexual side effects. Difficulty with the ejaculation. And then if I miss a dose or, all of a sudden it's fairly quickly in this last year, if I miss a dose for some reason, pretty quickly have a lot of difficulty urinating and then I kind of have to catch up. I,
Okay. The reason I ask is I was on Tamsulosin. I was put on it during my treatment, and I had significant lightheadedness for about 2 months, and then it just all went away. But it was so bad during that first 2 months, I actually took a Tai Chi class one day and had to leave because I couldn't stand in one place for very long. Um, and just recently, my radiation oncologist suggested I go off it to see if I still needed it, and I went off of it, and I've been off it about a month now. And prior to that, I was urinating like a 20-year-old. It was amazing. It was like a fountain of youth. Now I'm urinating like a 67-year-old, which is what I am. So it helped. And for me, the side effects were not that. They were significant for about 2 months, but I'm surprised they've lasted 4 years for you.
yeah, well, when I first started taking it, it was fairly miraculous. I was stunned to see how far I had actually lost my ability to urinate. But over the time, the positive effects have been reducing.
Oh, really?
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So it's been less and less and less,
Mhm.
and it's just creeping into less and less effectiveness. So that was
Yeah.
another reason I was looking to say, hey, can we do something else?
Well, I see why now.
Not dramatic, but so
Okay.
here I am now, diagnosed
Jay,
with cancer.
you had something?
Uh,
Yes, I had similar to David's experience when I went on during my treatment. I had radiation and ADT for 22 months. I was on it. The I was on tamsulosin. It helped, but I was also on a fifth of a dose of Viagra, and it also helped. And both of them have side effects. But when I drop, and I played with dropping one or the other to see what would happen, and I dropped the tamsulosin, and was it was the worst of the side effects. And the Viagra was just before going to bed, take a fifth of a dose, and it's supposed to help with nocturnal erections to help preserve tissue while you're on ADT, and then that works. The sildenafil Viagra does help with the stricture, where you find yourself when I would sit a long time, or if I would eat certain foods, I would end up swelling up and not being able to urinate and empty. But the sildenafil helped about as much as tamsulosin. So you might try that. And you can get them. They come in 20 milligrams, which is a fifth of a dose, and you can get those prescribed on a PRN basis, and get 90 in a bottle. So they last a long time if your urologist is willing. My urologist said sure here and just wrote a script. So
Okay. Well, Ron, you're welcome to come back here. I also, if you can work out Wednesdays, they meet every Wednesday night. So it's frequent and probably would help you in terms of understanding the surveillance process. So, well, great. Well, happy that you came. So let's see who else. Brian, you're first. So let's hear the latest from
Okay,
your process.
Okay, I was in the group Wednesday night, and I got my Decipher score back, and it was they weren't even supposed to do it because I canceled the community care. I went back to the VA, but they actually did it, so I'm not sure who's going to pay for that, but hopefully they pay for it. It was 0.91, and I was freaking out. 0.91, and I got a 3+4, and the 4 is only 10%, so I'm just like. Dr. Dan told me to chill out, trying, but that's pretty high. Just wondering what you guys thought. When I talked to my urologist, he said he expected it with a 3+4. He expected it to be between 7 and 10. I go, well, and I'm just new to this stuff. I'm just kind of looking on the internet trying to gather information, but that's not what the internet says. It says 8+. It says either a Gleason score 8, 9, or 10 with a Decipher of 0.91. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I've never heard another doctor say that because you had a 3+4, he was expecting a high number. The number of people that have, because 0.9, because it's not linear. You know, the percentage of people that they've tested that come up with 0.91 is probably in the single digits in terms of percentage of the testing group. But remember what the test is telling you. All what it's saying is that based on looking at the DNA of the cancer, that it follows the profile of what could be an aggressive cancer. But you have to take that in the context of how much cancer has shown up is showing up. And if now again, you haven't had your biopsy yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. So again, your whole experience is sort of backwards from the way thing it is. The 0.91 says it's probably pretty important that you get a good biopsy and figure out what's really there. You know, and usually, you know, what the purpose of the Decipher test is twofold. One is it gives indication as to whether you should treat or surveil, and the other is to indicate whether or not ADT is appropriate as part of your treatment plan. That's really all that it's telling you. So in this case, the fact that you got a 0.91, it's really important to find out how many positive cores you've got to figure out just, you know, how much you should be concerned about that.
Okay. And the other thing is I've been working on this biopsy thing for about 3 months now. So I thought they're finally gonna let me do the community care to do a transperineal biopsy. But he wouldn't do the MRI. So the best way I can do it is have an MRI at the VA and then do the perineal at the hospital I want to go to. Now, if they find a lesion on the MRI at the VA, well, then I got to figure out what I'm going to do. But I'm assuming they won't because they didn't find one a year ago. But I don't know. So
now, when they go to do the biopsy at the hospital, is he going to be able to do a targeted biopsy?
No, because the VA software does not line up with other hospital software. So
And
I'm hoping there's no lesion.
And you can't get the MRI done where they're going to do the biopsy?
I have that set up for June through Medicare to have that done, but I've just been working it from all sides, and I'm working with the VA, and they told me we can't do that. We can't do a fusion guided MRI because you just had one. But we can do the transperineal. We can use community care for transperineal, and if you want, you can do the MRI at the VA. So I'm thinking it's going to be a clean MRI because it was my last MRI was in August. And there was a Pyrex too. The only thing that distorted it was the aquablation. The aquablation
Right.
messed up the prostate. So, but I'm not sure. I've been just working at it really hard. So that's the best I got.
Well, I guess the one, you have the VA do the MRI on the off chance that it comes back with something, that it actually sees something of a 4 or a 5, then you could consider doing the MRI with Medicare so that you could get a targeted biopsy. It's not great. It's not great if you can't get a targeted biopsy if they see something.
Could it have grown that much in 10 months, 11 months?
There have been instances we've heard, where somebody's had a clean MRI and then they have another one and they see something. So,
Yeah, that's not really a question we can answer, Brian. I mean, it could happen, but it might not happen. I mean, that's not something we are qualified to give you actual advice on in this group, right? But if you have the ability to get the fusion MRI guided fusion biopsy transperineal in community care, but you have to wait till June, you said, right?
No, I got to use. If I do that one, I already have it set up for June 10th. That's with Medicare, which is like.
So that'll be MRI fusion guided, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's only 6 weeks away, right? 6, 7 weeks. That's not that far. I know that's not something you want to hear. You want it done tomorrow, right? I know that. I understand that feeling. That's probably your best path for a diagnostic tool. Like I said, if you go to the VA and get your MRI and they find something and their software is not compatible with a fusion guided system somewhere else, then you really had an MRI for, I won't say for no reason, but you didn't use it in the best way possible as a diagnostic tool. Your PSA's never really been like super high, right? Always around 5, I think you said before.
5.5.
Yeah. And how old are you?
66.
Yeah. And you had BPH issues, right?
Yeah, BPH for like 4 years. I used the catheter 4 times a day for 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I keep saying this on my personal experience talking to several other men that I've known that have had BPH issues for a long time in their 60s, late 50s, early 60s. A 5 PSA is not that high for someone with BPH, especially if you have a large prostate too. So
it's 28 cc, so my PSA density is only like 2.21.
Oh, okay. So again, and I can only give you this advice based on my personal experience and the fact that I know things now that I didn't know then. I would wait to get the full benefit of the MRI guided fusion biopsy as a diagnostic tool. If it's going to be in June, that's not really that far away. I know it's anxiety inducing to wait. We all know that. I mean, if you couldn't be going to the active surveillance group, you realize, there's a bit of anxiety in that group too, right? So.
Yeah. What is it if I do the MRI at the VA and then use the community care for the perineal? If they find something, well, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to figure it out. It's just been bugging me.
Well, you still have the community care one scheduled, right? It's going to be a full MRI.
They're going to call me. They finally said, hey, you can use community care for a perineal biopsy, but not for the MRI. They're going to call me in a
So the perineal biopsy is what you have scheduled for June 10th.
No, that's the fusion guided perineal through Medicare that I have set up already. But I don't really want to use that.
Why not? I mean, that's what we're telling people in our group. We consider that the best standard of care right there. Why wouldn't you want to use it?
Well, since I'm going to get my care done at the VA, I think they need a fresh MRI of my prostate to start off with a fresh, you know.
Will the Medicare one not be a fresh MRI?
Yeah, that will be, but they can't. That software doesn't work with the VA software. A different hospital with the VA, their softwares aren't compatible.
I understand. You're confusing me a little bit because you have the ability to get MRI at the VA, but then their software wouldn't be compatible for fusion guided MRI. But yet you also have the ability to get a fusion guided MRI biopsy through Medicare,
Yes.
which you have scheduled.
Yes.
I would use that diagnostic tool if it was me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't bother getting one at the VA. That's not going to be useful for a guided biopsy, but it would show you something that you would be, it might show you something that you're worried about until you can get the guided biopsy, right?
Yes.
So just wait till June 10th. Use the best diagnostic tool available to you.
The thing is I don't know how good the doctor is at the hospital. It's at the University of Washington. I don't know. I had to take,
Well, if you get, your goal is to get the best biopsy that you can, because then we can, you can send your slides to Dr. Epstein or Dr. Zhao, and
Right.
you can get a good read on it, and then you'll ultimately know what you got. So your goal is to get the best biopsy to figure out what if anything needs to be done.
okay. I thought I had
Jay,
it all figured out.
okay. Jay, did you have something for Brian?
Just a financial question. If you have a biopsy at the VA and then go to the place where you could use Medicare to get a MRI with a guided biopsy, would Medicare pay for a new MRI if you just had one at the VA?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that.
That might be something you want to look into so you don't get locked out of the most important thing, which is MRI guided biopsy.
Yeah, I don't think the systems overlap. I'm not certain.
They do not.
Okay.
Right. So whatever happens in the VA stays in. It's like Vegas. What happens in VA stays in VA.
Right.
Thanks.
So,
Thanks, Boykin.
so since I'm going to get my treatment at the VA, wouldn't it be? Well, I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't know what to do now again.
Well, Brian, you can get the, just like Bill was saying, get the transperineal guided biopsy in the community, and then go get treated at the VA. And if they need, let's say you're going to get radiation, for example, and they need an MRI to do the radiation, they can make their own MRI for the treatment.
I think
Go ahead, Stuart.
I was just going to say, your original plan was you wanted to get a transperineal quality biopsy, and you've got that opportunity. And I would follow through on it, and then you'll have information. And then, if it means then you got to go back to the VA to talk about treatment, you've got your info to drive that. I don't think this whole confusion about who can do which, is forcing you to have to change your plan. Your plan was good. Your plan's going to get you the information you need.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bob Richards. Oops, sorry. Hang on.
Okay. Thank you.
Bob, how we doing?
Stuart, ready to go?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. So, I don't want to muddy my waters up too much. I think I've already, I'm bordering on analysis paralysis, but I was talking to this Dr. Levitt in Atlanta the other day, and he had an interesting comment. He said that he felt like IMRT was safer than SBRT because of the lower dosages. You can actually go outside the up to the capsule or outside the capsule and catch any rogue cancer cells. And he didn't think you could do that with SBRT because it was a higher dose and you have to stay. You can get close to the margins, but you can't exceed them. So on that basis, he thought IMRT was an advantage. I wanted to see what the group thought about that.
You know, again, you're going to get into one of these situations that every doctor is going to give you a slightly different opinion based on what the way they'd like to go about treating you. And so I sort of come back to you talk to your doctors, you hear what they propose, and then you'll make a decision. The one thing that's a little bit odd, that gets a little bit weird with Dr. Levitt is that he doesn't actually treat, right?
Right.
So you got an opinion from him, and depending on what you hear elsewhere, you'll sort of make a decision as to which avenue you want to pursue. I would, since I know you told me you're going to see Dr. Neger at Memorial Sloan Kettering, I would ask him what his opinion is on what Dr. Levitt suggested for you. Because here, here's somebody who's using MR-Linac, and he'll tell you what he thinks about what he can and can't accomplish.
Got it. Okay. It's that's really all, that's really all I had.
Okay. Did Dr. Levitt have anything else that he was, commenting on, pointing you at?
Not that I haven't learned from the group or talking with some other doctors. He did go into some greater detail, sometimes too much detail. I myself go down a rabbit hole every once in a while, and but no, I would say he was pretty well confirmed everything that I heard. He just, that this particular comment was not consistent with what I've been exposed to by this group and other doctors. And I just thought I'd ask the question.
Okay. David, do you want to comment?
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a moment. I heard you mention the name Levitt, but I didn't hear what you said he told you or advised you.
David, he basically, I realize every doctor has their preference. His preference, he doesn't practice anymore. He consults. He's a radiation oncologist. He
Right.
said that his preference was IMRT because he could actually get right up to the margins of the capsule, or even barely past the margin, to catch any rogue cancer cells that may be getting ready to escape or right on the edge there. But he wasn't able, he didn't think you were able to do that with SBRT because of the higher dosages.
Mm-hmm. And remind me what your Gleason score is?
Where's my Gleason score? 4+3.
Okay. Are you familiar with the FLAME trial? It's a study that was done a while back where what they showed was if you do IMRT with a focal boost, which is IMRT but with an extra zapping to the tumor itself, you get a significantly better, greater reduction in the recurrence rate than if you do IMRT without the focal boost. I think at 5 years it was like a difference between I think this is what it was, something like 92% for IMRT with the focal boost, that's with IMRT, versus 85% without a focal boost. But the big difference was 5 years after that, the focal boost group's recurrence rate went to 86%, and that's at 10 years. That's a really good number. 10 years, 86% of them did not have a recurrence if they got IMRT with a focal boost. But the IMRT group that did not get a focal boost had a recurrence rate at 10 years of only like 71%. So that's something you should ask your doctors about when you inquire about that.
I have a comment on that because I'm sort of in process on the same thing. I have kind of a dominant lesion on my right, and in talking to Dr. Keyshawn, he, I'm talking about SBRT now, but he recommended a focal boost of 42 on the right side and 40 on the left side. For that trial, I think he was part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with IMRT, inquiring about a focal boost is well worth doing. Not everybody does it.
And the focal boost is done with the same machine. It's just more targeted to the. I got you. Okay.
It's not quite as cool as HDR, but it's.
It doesn't have to be done with the same machine. I think I'm just looking at the FLAME trial right now because it happened to be sitting in an old edition of the Journal of Clinical Oncology from October of last year on top of my toilet system, waiting for me to read it. But I think that with
Rick, are you in the loo? Sorry.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was sitting in the loo.
Very good. Very good.
To read it, but this is the instigation. This is the catalyst for me to look at it. But I think that the and David was right. 71% is a good number, but they may have used the EBRT equipment. But I think what to take away from this is something a little bit different. That boost can be delivered in a number of different ways. It can be delivered with brachytherapy, either seeds, or it can be delivered with high dose brachytherapy, or it can even be delivered with SBRT, which is the focal treatment.
That's true. That's true. The follow-up trial and to the FLAME trial, in fact, was called HypoFlame, which used SBRT.
SBRT. So
yeah.
I think the concept to take away is that if you have higher risk disease, so this is true for some of our 4+3 guys, definitely true for our 4+4 guys, most of whom are in the other group anyway. And Jay Mills will tell you this because this is the treatment he got. This is the treatment I got. That the concept of delivering something focused on the gland and then delivering other treatments, additional treatment with IMRT is very powerful. And we seem to think it's probably the best way. And in the past, it's also been accompanied by hormone therapy. There's a lot of Today, there's a lot of controversy about how much hormone therapy. Keyshawn just published a paper on that along with Dan Spratt. Back in the day, people like Jay and I got 28 months or more, but we don't now. They would probably give less. But the point, and even if you're 4+3, Bob Richards, that they may say, yes, this has to be accompanied by some amount of hormone therapy, according to this new Kishan Spratt study, which has some deficiencies. There's some flaws in the study, but it's a meta study. Probably 6 months is what that would indicate. 6 months, maybe 9 months is what that would indicate. But that concept, take back to your docs, the combination of something focused on the gland, something more widely spread, and this consultant doc in Atlanta is sort of right. It's very hard to give fractionated doses with SBRT. They've been studying that at least for 3 or 4 years. I remember a trial at Carbone in Madison, Wisconsin, 3 or 4 years ago, where they were trying to give fractionated doses with an SBRT machine. It just hasn't really taken on. It hasn't really happened. So they still are reverting back to SBRT for the gland, IMRT for any other areas where they think there might be micrometastasis, and if necessary, hormone therapy.
Now, Bob, there's a certain kind of an advantage if you want to, depending on your preference, treatment preference, to doing the boost as HDR and then combining that with IMRT, in that you only have to do half as many IMRTs. The brachytherapy essentially covers the other half that you would have otherwise gotten. So if you prefer not to have to show up every morning with a full bladder and an empty rectum, that's one way to cut the number.
Yeah.
Whereas
Great point.
if you'd rather not spend the day in the hospital getting brachytherapy, then you can always just go with pure beam.
Is the brachytherapy harder on the urethra?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And the beam,
I don't know about that. I mean, you know, it depends where they place. It really depends on the placement. First of all, there are 2 types of brachytherapy. There's the low dose brachy, which are the seeds, the permanent seeds, which not a lot of people do right now, but some people still do them. And again, it depends where they're treating. And if you don't have cancer close to the urethra, then no, it's not going to be hard. If you have cancer that's going to cover that area, yes, it will be hard. Same thing if they put those rods in, and they like put a conduit, and then through that conduit they put a radioactive, high dose radioactive rod, and if it's not near the urethra, you should be okay. But if it's near the urethra, yeah, you're going to have a problem. So it depends on the planning. I wouldn't agree with David and say yes, it is. It depends on the planning. It might be, but it might not be, depending on where they're focusing it in the gland.
yeah, that's true. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's supposedly one of the benefits of HDR, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it can be more precise to the area. At the same time, I think I don't understand MR LINAC well enough to know how they deliver that dose inside the prostate from what they're seeing on that MRI. I mean, I don't know if they see enough detail on that MRI that they can be adjusting the beam so that it gives lower doses to the non-affected areas of the prostate and higher doses to where they see the lesion. Do you know that, David?
No, I don't know.
Believe so. I believe some of the
Stuart, of
docs are
course.
doing it.
Yeah, I forgot about Stuart. Of course, Stuart,
Yeah,
that's right down your alley, that question. Sorry.
no, yeah, I'm pretty sure from some of the stuff we've seen, read from what Keyshawn's doing, that they are boosting in certain areas. So again, it may be slightly different. Greg Burns, you might know the answer to this too.
I wish I did, but when I asked Dr. Bryansky at Stanford, what he's going to do, he didn't say it this way, but basically he said we just nuked the whole thing. So he
Okay.
didn't say anything about we're going to add here and add there. He said that and I don't quote me, but something like we don't need to do that, or we don't. He was kind of downplaying that's not fun and games, but it wasn't a necessary thing. He didn't feel it was a necessary thing to try to do more or less in different places. But again, I would double check the math on that.
Yeah. Again, I think you're gonna, depending on the doctor you talk to, you're gonna hear that they use the machine differently.
Yeah, I mean, Keyshawn apparently does do the focal. That's what I've been talking to him about.
Okay, Bob, anything else?
That's all. I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay, Albert, you're up. How we doing, Albert?
Yeah, I just had wanted to see if y'all could post the study. I guess it was a JAMA study about how brachytherapy had a 38% chance, it was 2 weeks ago, of recurrence, and SBRT only had 10%, I believe it was.
Oh.
Can I comment on that one?
Yeah, Steve, you know exactly where that is. Let me see if I can find it on my. The answer is we can. I've got to find it.
He's got it memorized.
Yeah, I mean, my feedback from Dr. Chang as I had that follow up was, it's basically, he felt anyway. He's got, he's kind of one of the experts in HDR, that it's mostly about how good is the surgeon. So how good are they at actually delivering the dosage? And he uses a number of 97.8% BCR rate for that, which is obviously hugely different, because I was focused very much on HDR, and that study scared the shit out of me. But he basically discounted it. Now, do you believe him? Well, I guess he's one of the experts, so I would tend to believe him. But it does sort of raise some questions.
I've only had a chance to glance at that study. I've been busy with other things, but two things jumped out at me that concern me. One, it's a very small study. And secondly, some of the people in the beam arm had their seminal vesicles radiated and some didn't. But none of the brachytherapy people in that arm had their seminal vesicles radiated. So right there's a difference in just the amount of real estate that's getting radiated in the beam versus the brachy group. So again, I haven't really dug into that study enough to say much more than that. But it's certainly kind of an outlier study compared to other things I've read. But I can't go beyond that since I haven't spent enough time with that.
Okay, I just posted it for you, Albert, so you can knock yourself out with it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Albert?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank
Okay. Jay, did you have a question for our group?
Not really a question, just that I have talked to the NIH study for PSMA positive biochemical recurrence trial. That I talked with Dr. Abel, who's heading up the trial now that Madden is moving on to a job outside of NIH, and that I will be entering the trial. To technically qualify, I'll have to wait until I get their bone scan and a new PSMA, but I've had one. I just had one in December, and so we'll do another one in June.
Jay,
There, yeah.
That's really, I think, conversation for the high risk recurrent group. We really don't get into recurrence at all. Okay.
Okay. Yes, very good. That's where I thought I was. I'm in the wrong group. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
That's all right.
I thought you might be. It is, so this is the 4th week of the month, and our meeting is tomorrow.
Okay, very good, very good.
Okay, at 3. Now it's the early time. It's at 6 o'clock Eastern, so I think that's probably 5 o'clock. Wait a minute, what's that for you? 5 o'clock for you?
It is 6. I'll be 6 o'clock here. Yeah.
Okay, but come in tomorrow because we've got other people who have also spoken to Dr. Abel, and we're also talking about the Andromeda trial.
I look forward to that. All right.
Okay, take a look at the Andromeda trial as well before tomorrow. I'll send you the trial link in a private message.
Very good, very good. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice. Hey, John, you had something you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, so I just had my PSA last month, 15 months, and it was 0.39. The one before was 0.34, so it was just, I guess, noise, background fluctuation, 0.05 bump. So I'm not really concerned about it, but I was hoping it would go even further down. But I'm at 15 months. I get the next PSA, I guess, next 2 months. So it's not even a bump. It's could be a lab variation, fluctuation, but you always want to see that number keep going down. I started at, I guess, 3.32, 2.6, 1.2, and 0.68, 0.62, 0.34, and now 0.39 at 15 months. So just wondering what you guys think about that. My decipher was 0.29, so I'm not really concerned. Low decipher. So
I think you've got, with those numbers, you've got nothing to worry about. My post-treatment has bounced around a little bit, and doctor said it's nothing. You know, that unless it starts going up in, you know, significant steps and continues over multiple tests, you're just bouncing around in the 0.3 range from low to high. You're good.
Yeah, I don't think 0.05 is even considered a bounce. I think 0.5, 0.5 or so. I don't know. But I just thought I'd bring that up. But 15 months out, everything's fine. So you got the same machine. Well, no, you had the Meridian or you had the Electra. I'm not sure. So, all right, that's all I had to say.
Can I ask?
Thanks for the reassuring words, Stuart. Hey, Rick, how are you?
I asked John, after 15 months, how many PSA tests have you had?
I go every 3 months. Sloan wants me to go every 6 months, but my urologist, I guess, wants to make a couple of bucks. So I go every 3 months. Same way, right down the block from me here.
You've had five PSAs.
Yeah, I had 1, 2, 3, 5 in 15 months. Yeah, so I go every 3 months. My next one is due, I think, in June or May. So.
Okay.
I had MRI guided SBRT on a Unity Electra. So anybody interested when I had 5 sessions, 3 back to back though, which I didn't think it was a problem, and it wasn't. So.
You mean on the same day?
No, 3 days in a row: Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
What happened? They got Christmas coming or something? They had to.
Yeah, actually, it was right. It was right after Thanksgiving, so
Yeah.
he told me, "Don't worry about it." I said, "You sure? You're not gonna space him out?" He goes, "Don't worry about it." So I didn't. I trusted him. So, yep.
Is it normal to have PSAs after finish every 3 months or 6 months, or does that matter? I mean, what's the protocol for?
Sloan wants 6 months, but I do it every 3 months. My just I see him every 3 months. So it's a local guy right down the block. So instead of shooting a hole into the street, not that it's far, but it's right here. So I have it done.
Greg, my doc had to do 3 months for the first year, and then he wanted it spaced out after that. So
Okay.
everybody's slightly different.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve.
Yep. So, thank you. So I recently got my Decipher score. It ended up being unfortunately high. It was 0.87. So I kind of relented on ADT based on that. So in discussions with Dr. Keyshawn, he said 6 months, which is what he's been saying all along. So it kind of confirmed my cribiform and borderline introductal, I guess you could say. I had been also talking to Dr. Chang about HDR. He's not really a big supporter of it, but he agreed actually just today to do it if I wanted to. So I had kind of discounted HDR because of that, because he didn't seem to be supportive. But now I guess it's still a possibility. So my question is kind of similar to what was brought up before. So now, since my risk is somewhat systemic, and ADT deals with that somewhat, the margin issue of SBRT, with a boost, focal boost, or HDR with obviously a focal boost, since it's designed for doing that, on my dominant lesion. I just, and I guess going a little bit further back in history, when I went to Stanford, they had actually recommended brachy boost plus 13 sessions of IMRT, and that was prior to the Decipher score. I'm just wondering what people's thoughts are on the difference between, well, I guess, margins basically, and whether that's beneficial. It seems like it might be, so SBRT might be better than HDR in this particular case. Any thoughts? No.
It's a little, HDR versus SBRT. In your case, I just don't know enough about. I'm not enough of an expert to really make that call personally.
I've definitely seen that ADT makes a huge difference. I've heard anecdotally that recurrence is, with something very focal like HDR, recurrence without ADT is a thing. So that pretty well convinced me. I'm still, there's a huge cost difference between those two treatments as well, HDR and SBRT. It's like 2x. So that plays on my brain a little bit. I'm trying to negotiate the price down with the centers now. But yeah, I kind of get the feeling that it does matter a little bit. Hence the, people doing these IMRT and HDR combinations. I just don't know for sure. It's like, you know, I've learned a lot of things. A lot of doctors have different opinions, and at the end of the day, you're sort of left with deciding on your own. But you just got to try to make the best decision you can.
I think
All right.
some of the studies we've seen really do support that the brachy plus is significantly different than brachy alone. I think that's that conclusion seems to come out of a lot of the studies. If you have I would sort of look at it, if you have a brachy proposal that you feel is strong enough, then I think the difference between that and the other one is probably fairly small. It's a matter of again, it comes back to which doctor you feel more comfortable with, and the one that you sort of feel like you're going to be more comfortable trusting in terms of overseeing your care.
Well, I had been leaning toward Chang because initially I was drawn toward HDR because there was no ADT requirement, but now that seems like it's required basically. So him kind of pushing away from not really supporting ADT was only because I sort of forcefully asked he would do it. It leads me more towards someone who's I think a lot more data driven, which is Chang or Keyshawn. Because when I actually asked the question of, I mean, you guys have seen some of those responses already, but when I asked Chang the question about whether highest decipher score was in his cohort, what he was claiming for that 97.8, he said he didn't track it, which was a little disconcerting. It sort of tells me that he doesn't quite know. So
did you say earlier that Chang discouraged you from doing HDR, or he discouraged you from doing ADT, or both?
ADT. He is the HDR guy, so
yeah,
he would.
I know that. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it, somewhat of a bias toward not liking to do it, and originally I thought that was a great idea. I didn't want it, but when I actually looked closely at what the decipher score was telling me, I just thought, I would be foolish to not do ADT as much as I don't want to do it. I've kind of relented on that one. I do not want recurrence. Once is enough, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I think that that's always sort of, nobody wants to go into it with a plan that you're going to have to do this more than once.
Yeah.
And again, your decipher, the cribiform, all the other stuff that probably sort of makes you want to hit it harder than you might otherwise, just to make sure that you address everything. It'll make you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I think I am comfortable with SBRT with the boost on the DIL, but that's the thing I'm kind of circling around a little bit. I mean, this has been going on for a while, this sort of changing focus, and frankly, I'm kind of tired of it. But
yeah,
I want to decide. It's going on 6 months in April, so it's kind of decision time. So I think that's really the last one. I don't think I'd go all the way back to doing the brachy boost with IMRT. When I asked Chang about that specifically, he said that's over treatment. They're looking to make money off you. So take that for what it's worth. Right. He's also the guy Boyanowski actually trained with him, and it sounds like there might be some egos involved in that particular comment. So.
Well, Steve, the good news is this period you're in right now, the decision-making period, that's the hardest part of the whole process. Once you actually sign up for the treatment, you're just basically climbing on the assembly line at that point, and you got nothing. You don't have to make any big decisions, and just turn it all over to them at that point. So it gets easier once you just make the decision and let them do their thing.
Yeah, I mean, my sleep has been pretty bad lately, actually, and kind of in this decision point. But I guess that's kind of normal. You gotta, I mean, as Stuart's pointed out to me a few times, you gotta sort of pick and then accept something that you're not going to regret later. Like it was enough, not too much, but enough, and not too little. So the ADT under treatment thing really struck me. That's why I just said I'm getting it. I'm getting back to the gym. I'm going to exercise and deal with it. So yeah.
Well, so one decision out of two. There you go. So you're halfway there.
Yeah. I did actually reach back out to, in trying to get the prices down, I reached back out to Sunnybrook in Canada. They have actually a good MR-Linac program, and just seeing what they can do from a pricing perspective.
Have they responded?
Not yet. I called their admin last night and sent an email out to Loblaw, which is he runs the show there. He's actually the one who did that study, comparing HDR and SBRT.
Good.
So I think they're quite good there. I mean, I had talked to Klotz back in December, and he's Mr. Active Surveillance. So that's kind of where I am. The only other thing now is Orgovic's selection. I'm trying to work through how I can get the price of that thing down. I had, the whole idea that it's actually better for, I don't really have heart issues, but it's supposed to be better as far as, avoiding any heart issues. A friend of mine had a heart attack yesterday, and he'd been on ADT for a couple of years, and he's not doing too well. So that kind of brought that one home a little bit. So yeah, I think, Greg, I think you had mentioned GoodRx as a potential place to get, a better deal on ADT. I don't know if anybody else has suggestions on that.
Through OHSU, OHSU got me started on like a financial assistance program with the company that makes Orgovics, and so I was able to get it for free that way.
Oh.
I don't know. I can't even recall. It's been over a year how they got the ball rolling, and I know at some point I did have to fill out a form that went to the company, but I did get the way they worked it was I was approved in March, and they said you can have it for free till the end of the year. I only needed 6 months worth, but I could have gotten 9 months worth. If I had been approved in November, I don't know if that would have meant I would have only got a month's worth. I don't know how that works, but that is an option if you qualify, but it's financially based.
Yeah, my sister actually works at that company, so I've reached out to her in addition. But see what she has to say as well.
Would know well in Malaysia and Thailand, they just throw those knockoffs over the fence. So maybe you could.
Yeah, right. I can go to some little store in Vietnam and.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking no. You can throw them over the fence to you if you go. Anyway, that was silly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Orgovics is not available generally outside of the U.S.
Right.
I found, at least in Southeast
Oh,
Asia. I asked my
don't-
doctor about that.
maybe they give her.
He actually, what they do recommend is something that's a 1 month shot that's similar, that he could give me, that's probably a lot cheaper. I don't know that I want to go that route or not. I have to look a little closer at that particular one. I mean, I'd really like to just get our Orgoix and move on and just figure out a way to get it at sort of reasonable cost.
Maybe
Okay.
she can.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say, just wanted to check. We got a couple other guys.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
I think that wraps it up for me then.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Just keep negotiating.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of balls in the air on that one, believe me.
So I just want to slip in quickly because I know that Bill said something at the beginning, but for anybody who came in late, Mr. Burns and I are going to be having a little chat on Wednesday night, which I'm really looking forward to. It's in our Solo Arts Heal series, which has been lacking a little bit the last few months, although I think we've done close to somewhere between 30 and 40. If you go to Solo Arts Heal on our webpage, and you can go back and you can find some of the interviews. We've done a lot of interviews with some really fun people. And it's always great when we are able to do it with one of our own, which Greg definitely is. Because a lot of the people we interview are not necessarily associated with AnCan, which also goes along with, if you happen to know anybody that has used the arts in any type of art to help them with their healing, please let us know, because we would like to talk to them on Solo Arts Heal. But yes, now for those of you on the East Coast, it's a little late. I'm sorry, it's at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, because our partner is the Marsh Theatre Company in San Francisco. But for those of you on the West Coast, it's not that late. And for Steve, it's certainly not that late. It's still going to be in the morning. So the link is there, and come on by, and you can think up questions to send me to ask Greg. You know, Steve, all those questions you never wanted to ask him in the past, but now you don't have to ask him because you'll send them to me and I'll ask them for you. So, but please try and join us, Albert and other people that I see on here, David, who are West Coast, closer to West Coast time. It should be a lot of fun on Wednesday night. So, just saying.
Just saying. See you there.
Tim, did you have anything you wanted for the time this evening?
Just that my radiation oncologist at Moffitt, earlier, some of the guys were talking about boosting. And I asked my radiation oncologist about boosting, and he said what other guys here said, that it wasn't, I'm paraphrasing, but it wasn't necessary.
Do you have
That's
a
about all
dominant
for me. Right?
Do you have a dominant lesion?
So I see that I see Ron has a question in the chat. Did you see that, Stuart?
Yep. I was just going to go back to that. I just wanted to check. I just wanted to check with Marty first. Marty, did you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
No, I just thought I'd join and see everybody on this program, and I'm just listening.
Okay.
Hey, Marty.
Just wanted to cover. So Ron's question was about, should he get a second opinion on his 3+3 and supplements or changes? On the second part, Ron, I'm really going to punt that to the surveillance group. because I think they really could talk to you better about that. The three on the second opinion, as a general rule, we always encourage people to get a second opinion. Given how small your lesion was and the 3+3, and there's only one of them, if you want to feel really comfortable, arrange to have your slides sent to Dr. Epstein or Dr. Chow. That would really sort of fall into the into your comfort category. The likelihood of the likelihood of them upgrading it to the point where you have to get really serious about it is probably very small, but I'm not going to tell you not to do it. So, that help?
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay. So, Tim.
Yeah, I did want to say that I thought Stuart's email this past week was very useful and direct, right to the point, and well done. And I complimented him in an email, but I think everybody should take a look at it.
Thank you. Appreciate
so bravo to that.
I'll second that, Tim.
Yes.
Because I thought it was excellent, and it's so appropriate for so many of the guys in this group who, they use the excuse of running around after doctors not to make a decision. And we see it all the time. And if they can afford to do so, it's great. But at the same time, Stuart's right on the money. The only thing Stuart and I talked about afterwards, and there will be a follow-up, is we are going to give you a little more information on how to determine what makes a center of excellence.
Yeah, which is important, and because the difference between some place which is really a center of excellence, and then you still need to do your homework, versus someplace that claims to be excellent, and it may be nothing more than their marketing department. So, but again, yeah. I stand behind my comments. Pay more attention to the doctor than to the equipment. So
yeah, I think it's great. It's really good advice. And I also want to say, although it doesn't have a lot to do with most of you here, I just want to give a shout out to Boykin, who wrote also a really, really good introduction for his veterans, for tomorrow night's Veterans Speaking Freely. I was trying to figure out whether we could send it around to everybody, but it's too veteran specific, but it was really good. And, sometimes I've thought about this before, we've got some brilliant pieces that have been written, and if we could collect them all together and publish them, maybe find 50 or 100 of our pieces that have introductions and try and just publish them. And I actually tried to put a team together to do that, but they never did what they said they were going to do. So, but it was, and I would say that both Boykin's piece and Stuart's piece would definitely be in that anthology.
Rick, you might want to look at using Claude Claude in particular for creating that, because it actually analyzes email quite well. You could probably do it in 5 minutes.
Sorry, look at Claude for what?
For basically creating that, that email thread you talked about, or, consolidating all those emails into one thing.
Oh, well, I'll talk. In other words, feeding all them in and asking them to pick out the best.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy because I use it all the time for this kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I'll talk to we've got somebody who's helping us with that. But what we are looking at doing, and it would sort of be part and parcel, is we want to put all of our reminders, all of our recordings, all of our blog posts into a searchable database and make them available to anybody that uses AnCan. So if you want to find somebody who's written something on choosing the right doctor, you could put choosing the right doctor and it would spit out what Stuart wrote. And we've got to set that up, and it's going to cost us, and we're trying to figure out the best way to do it. We've got somebody volunteering.
That's an easy thing to do with Cloud Code.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you after you're done with your treatment.
Okay. No, I'm deep into it now, actually. Into AI.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk to you before, but yeah, we do want to do that. Because somebody said to us today that they were listening on a transatlantic flight. They were listening to some of our old recordings on double speed. And they said, there's incredible information in these recordings. And there is, that you don't find anywhere else. And we would love to make that available to more people to help them.
Easy to do. How do you guys manage your website now?
Oh, that's a long question, and Bill, who took the red eye last night, has left, so that's a conversation to have when Bill's here. But the way we manage it is not the right way, and we're working to improve that.
Okay. No, the tool sets. I mean, I spent my life in technology, so I'm quite familiar with AI.
Okay, all right. Yeah. And I hear you volunteering to help us, so we will be in touch with you.
Yeah, that one will do after my treatment.
Yeah.
Didn't you heard that too, Stuart, didn't you?
Yep.
Or are my ears deceiving me?
No, I actually get
I heard him volunteer.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get back to work at something. This might be a great thing.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have anything else they want to bring up? Or otherwise, I think we're good for this evening. Tim, you got your hand again.
Tim's got his hand up.
Yeah, just a quick one to John S. in New York. I'm also a SBRT.
Yeah, Tim, I got your email. I just sent you an email.
Okay. I was going to ask you, where was your PSA before treatment?
Depends on the lab, but 2.6 to 3.2.
Okay. Yeah, send me an email, and I'd like to talk to you offline.
Yeah, sure.
I like to keep in contact with SBRT guys.
Yeah, I just sent you an email.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I did. I got your email though. Okay.
But Tim, you're about 15 months.
About 16, yeah.
And
Yeah,
where's
about
your
same time.
where's your PSA at?
0.99. It's been rising.
Tim, I know we don't like to discuss recurrent, but I will just tell you that mine got all the way up to 0.93. And Mac Roach would say to me, and I was a Kaiser patient and a UCSF patient. So Kaiser was testing me each month. And every month I get my Kaiser results and send them to Mac, and Mac wrote back to me and said, it's going to go down. It's going to go down. And I thought, right, it's going to go down. And I was all ready to, go through another lot of treatment. It got up to 0.93 and then it peaked and it came down. So now a big difference between me and thee is that I had done 28 months of hormone therapy. So it had been forced down to 0. But there is definitely a bump, and so you may be seeing something. Did you do any hormone therapy? I can't remember.
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, there is a bump, so all is not lost, but maybe.
My next appointment is April 30th.
Tim, also on another site, I heard that I read a good study that bumps could be good. So don't, it could be Yeah, I'll send you the link to it. Yeah, but
I
we'll
also
discuss
saw
it
that,
off-
John.
Yeah, we'll discuss that offline.
Okay.
So Rick, help me out here, since the way the calendar falls, our next meeting is April 13th, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Our next
so-
meeting is April 13th. That's
So,
exactly right.
so guys, it's 3 weeks, not 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll see you all back here then.
That's right.
All right.
If you show up on the 6th, you'll find a bunch of guys talking about advanced disease, and we don't want to scare the wits out of you.
So, okay then. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all showing up, and we'll see you soon.